Well, I shall leave you two to it.
Bye, dear. The only thing is that we've got rain in the background, so that's our background music for this episode. It's raining.
April showers.
Obviously, we're not talking about sexuality, so asexual won't be there.
And
It's just the first
too
thing.
easy.
Yeah, but it was just what came to my head. The first word that came to my head. Hi everyone, and welcome to a special episode. This is going to be the A to Z of gender. I am with my drag son. I'm not used to saying drag son, you're my first drag son, so it gets very confusing. But this is Aaron Cox. Yeah, my first drag son. I've not had a drag son before, so this has been an entertaining experience, definitely. Here today, we were doing this A to Z of gender. What we're going to do is, I'm just going to go through different types of gender, and then Aaron's going to try and figure out what he thinks that gender means. We'll basically give a definition for it, and I'll just tell you if you're right on the money, kind of, or completely out of this world. I am getting everything from a website called itspronouncedmetrosexual.com. I just found it just looking for researchers for gender stuff, and I found that they've already got a list there. So the first one we're going to go for is androgynous or androgyny. Quite a simple one, but still gender related. So
I think I'd describe androgyny as not quite both, but it's hard to distinguish what actual gender someone is. Like very neutral in both the face. It's like it's got a mixture of both female and male.
Right, so it's more, androgyny is more down to the appearance of someone, that they don't fit into stereotype categories of male or female, rather than how they mentally feel they are. Is that where you kind of thinking with that?
That's what I'd seen it as.
Yeah.
Like, in the middle.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I'd go. Here it's listed as a gender expression that has elements of both masculinity and femininity, occasionally used in place of intersex to describe a person with both female and male anatomy. I'd pretty much go with that.
Close enough.
I would always label androgyny down to it being how someone is portrayed and how they look, that they don't fit into either stereotype of male or female, rather than their internal gender is out of the binary. So usually you find people that look androgynous and relate to androgyny either are label themselves as a different gender or very much male or female. So you'll have, say for example, a good example of this is lesbians who label themselves as female but then have very short hair, don't really wear makeup, possibly have piercings and tattoos, things that you very stereotypically assume with a male figure. But then you can see that they have boobs and they like wear female clothing, so they wear a lot of pink and things that you expect from like a female person. So their image looks both male and female, but they themselves identify entirely as female. Now this one is something that I only discovered yesterday. I did not know this one. What is bigender? I'm guessing you probably won't know this one because I've never heard this one before.
That's a new one for me. If I'm gonna look at it into I too, so I guess it's like where you have elements of both genders.
I'm just rereading what it says. So the actual description on this website comes up with bigender. It's a person who fluctuates between traditionally woman and man gender-based behaviours and identities, identifying with both genders and sometimes a third gender. So there are other gender labels that I would probably label that as instead. Biological sex.
Well, as a scientist, I would say it's down to the chromosomes.
Right.
So XY, XX, XXY.
Right.
So how they're presented at birth. So you can have male, female, intersex. But it's to do with the original gender at the start.
So the gender that the person is when they're born, basically. Yeah. It comes out quite simply, a medical term used to refer to chromosomal, hormonal and anatomical characteristics that are used to classify an individual as female or male or intersex, often referred to as simply sex, physical sex, anatomical sex, or specifically as sex assigned or designated at birth. As I'm going through alphabetically, we'll go with this one. It's quite easy, so you can go up to this easily, but butch.
One way I can say butch is lesbian, looks like a dude. Dude looks like opposite of dude looks like a lady. Very stereotypical.
kind of.
I know it's very homophobic.
No.
but even if you use it-
I totally understand. It pretty much sums it up. It is basically a person who identifies themselves as masculine, whether it be physically, mentally, or emotionally. Butch is sometimes used as a derogatory term for lesbians, but is also claimed as affirmative identity label. So yeah, it's just a case of butch is a term for anyone who's masculine. So that's it could be a straight man, it could be a gay man, it could be a straight woman, it could be a gay woman. Anyone can be labelled as butch. Just anyone who like mental, emotional, physical attributes of a stereotype male figure, basically, is cisgender.
Again, I'm going for how the word's breaking up. So again, cis usually means the same. So I'm assuming you identify as the gender that you're assigned from birth.
Yeah, basically. A person whose gender identity and biological sex assigned at birth align. It's two different terms, but they're the same term, okay? So you have feminine and masculine, but it's either feminine or masculine presenting.
Again, it's going to end up sounding very stereotypical, but words like that conjure up that image, and that's how it's ended up as, is if you're presenting stereotype as masculine, you're going to go for you're going to look macho, tough, big, hairy, like stereotypical masculine, what people would stereotypically say as a guy, and with feminine, stereotypical what's associated with women, so dresses, long hair, very pretty makeup,
Pretty much.
like yourself.
I know. So feminine presenting. A way to describe someone who expresses gender in a more feminine or masculine way. For example, their hairstyle, demeanour, clothing choice or style, not to be confused with feminine of centre and masculine of centre, which often includes a focus of identity as well as expression, which was the next one, so we'll just skip over that. The next one, going back to one that we've already discussed, is femme. You can have butch and femme, they're the two polar opposites really.
So pretty much the opposite of what we've discovered butch actually means, so presenting more feminine, more girly, which, and again, stereotypical sense, the opposite of what people's preconception of a lesbian is.
Yeah. To tell you right, it's just someone who identifies themselves as feminine, whether it be physically, mentally or emotionally, often used to refer to a feminine presenting queer woman. The next one is fluid or fluidity. In this case, we're going to discuss gender fluidity.
I say gender fluidity is a little bit similar to gender flux, but not totally. Whereas it's more you can go in between both genders, stop at like certain areas of the spectrum. Whereas with gender flux, it's that to that.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah. Well, it says here for gender fluid. Gender fluid is a gender identity best described as a dynamic mix of boy and girl. A person who is gender fluid may always feel like a mix of the two traditional genders. May feel more man some days and more woman other days, which I think totally explains gender fluid. What I will just add in here is I will put down in the description a link to Rolian Gasher, because he identifies as gender fluid and he describes it quite well in one of his videos, so I'll put a little link to his video.
I'm gonna say that genderqueer is just it's like a heading for on the spectrum where it's kind of like, instead of just saying, oh, I'm not cisgender, I'm genderqueer, it's I'm not the normal thing. Kind of way of saying it.
Pretty much really sums it up. A gender identity label often used by people who do not identify with the binary of man or woman, or as an umbrella term for many gender non-conforming or non-binary identities, e.g. agender, bigender, gender fluid. Genderqueer people may think of themselves as one or more of the following, and they may define these terms differently. A genderqueer person may then also identify as non-binary, they may identify as paragender, agender, gender fluid. Is third gender.
It's a tough one, ended on a tough note there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say third gender. Someone would say they're third gender if they don't identify with any of the gender binary, but they're not neutral. They're something else, there's something else that they feel that there's more pull towards, like their own interpretation of gender. So it's like a planet outside of the Milky Way. That's your third gender over there.
Yeah, pretty much. A term for a person who does not identify with either man or woman, but identifies with another gender. This gender category is used by societies that recognise 3 or more genders, both contemporary and historic, and is also a conceptual term meaning different things to different people who use it as a way to move beyond the gender binary. Some of the research that I've been doing actually says that in North America, a lot of the Native American tribes believe in 3 genders, is male, female and a third gender, and that they do believe that there is 3 genders and you are a combination, every person is a combination of those 3 genders. So I think the whole point behind us doing this video was to kind of highlight the fact that gender is something that is growing, and there are so many different definitions, there are so many different terms, different people relate to different terms. Doesn't mean that one term is better than another, or that necessarily terms need to be honed and removed. Over time, I think that is naturally what will happen. You have, like, in the sexuality spectrum, you have that already, where some terms are disappearing, other terms are developing and growing, because it's been something that's been discussed for quite a while now and it has grown quite a bit. Gender is, I think, something that is still growing, so...
A lot of the time it's how you feel. Your gender identity is something only you can really decide on. Someone can't just say, oh yeah, that. It's like, no, this is how I feel, this is who I am. So over time, people are bringing out their own definitions out of how they feel. So you're getting more words into the spectrum, and then one day some might just join together as going, oh, this is this little section, that's that little section, we're going to improve on that. And then maybe some days some terminologies might just fade out.
Yeah.
The new ones, pretty much.
Right, I think that's going to end the video. So thank you very much for watching. Bye now.
Shut up and sit down.
In the section, like as an affectionate. Fortunately, I am not wearing my glasses, so with the lashes on, I'm like, everything's blue. I'm like, I can read it now. Cisgender. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Cisgender.
Cisgender.
I
should have just pointed at what it was.
Speaking of pangender, let's try that one.
Pangender, you're everywhere on the spectrum.
I did, then I went past it right. Oh, I know why I thought I went past it, because I went pansexual. There is no actual explanation for pangender. We'll pretend that we didn't ask that question.
So you must have put pangenders instead.
Yeah, that's what it is.